Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes. Driving through days and nights, won't stop for traffic lights.
Okay, here I am. I'm going to make my own pattern up. So I'm starting out with a piece of packing paper, and I got it cut out 14 inches tall by 14 inches wide, and I folded it in half because I want my neckline to be 5 inches. So I got 2.5 inches on this side of it and 2.5 inches on that side, which equals 5 inches. So this is going to be my neckline. And then I'm just going to take my straight edge. I'm going to go from, not my straight edge, but my yardstick, and go from this corner to that corner up there, and I'm just going to draw a diagonal line. Hold it down. There we go. And I'm going to do the same on this side. Try to get you in the camera here. All my packing paper is kind of wrinkled up because I had to wrap up some of my items for my show, the show that I was in. So, okay, here we go. There we go. Actually, I need to come down just a little bit more into the corner there. There we go. Alright, so I got that. So I'm going to cut this out. This is my pattern for my Jabot. Yours will be different depending on the size that you want it, the length you want it. So this is just custom made, and the other one didn't work out for me. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use I thought about using a little heavier muslin, but I think I'm going to use this one. And it's pretty thin, so it'll be lightweight. It's kind of gauzy. But this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and pin my pattern to my new Jabot. Okay. So I'm going to get that all pinned on, cut it out, and I'll come back and show you. Then I'm going to take it to my machine. I'm going to put a nice little 1/2 inch seam allowance all the way around, straight stitch all the way around. So I can throw that away. But yeah, that's going to work out a lot better for me. I hope you're still with me. Stick with me. It's going to turn out really cute. Okay, I thought I'd come on here and show you that I'm going to cut it out a little bit like an inch bigger. And I'm using my pinking shears. To eliminate some of the fraying. There we go. Alright, so I'm going to take that to my machine and put a little hem in there, like a ½ inch, not quite an inch. That's going to work out a lot better. Alright, I have my Jabot all pressed. And here's my bottom piece. I'm going to go ahead and this is going to be my first layer on the bottom. And I turned it over and hemmed this. Put a hem on it so it would be nice and straight. And I'm going to just put it on the edge. Go to my machine. Have it come over a little bit, hang over a little bit so I can trim that off. And then just go along and stitch. I might pinch pleat it a little bit. I'll just feel it out at my register. I work at a thrift store, so I talk a lot about my register. But at my sewing machine, oh brother. So I'm going to go ahead and mark this with my tailor's chalk and the blue where I want to go across. And I'm going to come up about approximately an inch. On both sides. I like using my yardstick because it's straight, but my yardstick is kind of messed up. So let's go ahead and one line after the half. So let's go ahead and mark it. So I'm going to go all the way across. And mark it with pins. Because that's what's easiest for me. Like that. I'm going to take it to my sewing machine and go along. And And sew that onto that. That'll be my first layer. I have all my layers right here, but they're going to be a little different. As I sew them on, I'll adjust them, and I'll show you how I do that. Okay, so I got that sewed on. Now the only mistake I made this time was I should have went over a little bit more, but that'll be okay. Maybe I'll put a piece of lace or something dangling down right here. I can always cover that up. But there's the first layer. The bottom layer, I mean. The next layer will be this one right here. It's got a little bit of a trim. It's got some, I want to call this toll, or what, tulle. I guess it's tulle. It's like a netting, real lightweight. And I want to set that one right about there. And I was thinking about stitching this and making a hem, but I don't think I'm going to do that for this. I think I'm just going to sew it on and then come back and cut it with my my pinking shears. I'm having a way with words today. So there we go. We're going to do that next. I am going to measure from the top down where I want this next layer at. And mark it. That way I won't get in any trouble there. So that's 15. So I want this one right here is from the top. So I want this one about right there. So I am going to mark it at 12 inches. I'm going to go all the way across to 12 inches. From the top. It's 12 inches. This one's way off. Right about there. Go sew that, put a straight stitch, and come back and show you. Okay, the next layer will be this one, the one that's on the bottom with the eyelet lace, and I marked it 10 inches down from the top and put a mark. Now I'm going to go ahead and pin it, and I will take it to my machine and I will pinch pleat it just a little bit so it gathers a little bit. I don't want it to be totally straight across. I want it to come up a little, you know, just come up a little bit. I'll make sure that covers up that. There we go. There's my mark right there. My mark right here. So I want it to be a little bit pleated. So I'll go ahead and get that on there. Straight stitch across. I'll come back and show you. Okay, what I'm going to do next is I got this third ruffle on, and I'm going to go ahead and trim the green down a little bit more. With my pinking shears. Now you can be nice and neat about it, but I don't mind it. This is more like art and shabby, like frayed. I don't mind it frayed and imperfect. I'm making this for myself. I'm going to leave the ends longer until I get it all done and decide if I want to just do a nice hem right here on the ends, or if I just want to cut it with my pinking shears. So the next layer will be, let's see, it's going to have to be a doily. And this is my biggest doily I have right here in this style. So this is pretty much already, like, you know, pleated and ruffly. So I'll just sew this, do a straight stitch on here, or maybe I'll do a zigzag. I'll decide when I get to the machine. And I'm going to put, this is going to be the next layer. And then the next layer will probably be go back to the eyelet, because that's what I've got left over. And then another doily, and just repeat itself all up to the top. I do have, like I said, I do have the flower. I could put on the flower. I could put the flower on the lace. This is going to be the tie that goes at the top, like a, for the necktie. Tie it around your neck. I'll come back and show you the next step with this doily going on. Okay, there's the doily, and that turned out really, it's starting to look really cute, starting to excite me a little bit. I was getting a little bit like, oh no, what am I doing? And then now it's getting to the point where it's like, yay, it's turning out what I envisioned. And so this is the next layer right here. And I marked down 6 inches down from the top on both sides and marked it with the blue tailor's chalk, 2 spots right there. And I'll go ahead and put this next layer on, and I'm going to put it on this seam right here. And I'm going to go ahead and pin it there, and then pin it across. And I'm going to pleat this one just a little tiny bit, because it's starting to get smaller. So it has to start going, rounding like this, you know, it has to start going into a U shape. Probably not that much, but so let's bring bring it down a little bit. Kind of feel it out a little bit, just a little tiny bit I want to at the machine, so I'm not going to go that much. There, I'll stick the pin there. And then just maybe a little tiny bit. Stick another pin to remind me that I want to pleat it just a tiny bit. In the middle. So I'll go ahead and do a straight stitch on there. Like I said, this is 6 inches from the top. And the way I'm checking it on each end is I'm folding it over. And doing a check like that to make sure that they're straight across from each other. So let me go ahead and get that on there and I'll come back and show you. Okay, so that layer went on nicely. I didn't really pleat it because it was already kind of ruffled. And now I'm going to cut the top edge, the green. Boy, I really say the opposite words. Not really opposite, but my words are not. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this so it won't fray so much with my pinking shears. Making sure I don't cut this off. That would be... I wouldn't be too thrilled with that. I hope you all have a good day today. I have to go get a tooth pulled in a couple hours, so I'm thinking about that a lot. So while I'm sewing, I'm trying to do something I'm happy and enjoy doing, and trying to take my mind off of it. So okay, we're going to do this next one, and it's going to go right here. So that's where that one will go. Straight stitch. Make sure that's the right one, yep, because I have another one to go. I don't know if this one will work next. Maybe this one will work next. I think that'll work next. And then my doily. So I'll go ahead and do that. I'm going to do the doily and I'm going to mark it down. I use this old, you're probably thinking, why is she using this old yardstick? I like it because it's straight and I can draw lines, but it doesn't have, it was a very old, I think it was from my father in his shed. So it's special to me, but I use this side for the measurements from 1 to 9 because it's not there. So let's go ahead and some things are sentimental. So that's at 30, so let's go ahead and see where this one will look nice at. That one will look nice about right there. So that'll look good at, we'll call it 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5 down. So I'll mark it 4.5 down. And I'll pin that on. I don't have any more pins on this side of my room, so I'll get that pinned on right at my mark, and go sew that on and come back and show you. Okay, I have this one sewed on, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold the top over 1 inch and leave it like that. And I'm going to end up sewing that. I'm going to do a straight stitch right down here, all the way across. And that's going to be my sleeve, my pocket to put my lace in through there for the tie part. So this is the last layer. So I'm going to go all the way up to the top. And I'm going to sew that on to the top. Like that. And that's going to be the end. So let me go ahead and go do that. Sew this down. And I'll come back and show you. Okay, here's the jabot so far. It turned out really cute. We put all the layers on it. Doilies and the eyelet ruffle. And there's what it's looking like so far. And now I'm going to do the tie. And I'm going to go ahead and take the top to my sewing machine, and I'm going to give it a 1 inch like pocket, almost like a curtain would have. I'm going to fold this over and then sew this straight across and give this a pocket for the tie to slide into a sleeve. So I'm going to do a straight stitch, and I'm going to straight stitch and put that in there. And that'll be done for the time being. And this is what I'm going to make the tie out of. It's a real lightweight, so when it's around my neck, it won't be heavy and hanging. So I'm going to make the tie, I'm going to make the tie 2 inches wide. And I'm going to have a 1/2 inch seam allowance on both sides. So that'll knock it down, or a 1/4 inch seam allowance, I'm sorry. That'll knock it down to 1.5 inches for how wide the tie will be. That's what I'm figuring right now. And I'm going to have it 2 inches wide, and then put a little hem on there on both sides. And then I'm going to have it 70 inches long, because I want it to go around my neck twice, and then I want to be able to have extra to hang down from the top, and have some, like some extra material, so it's kind of going around like this, and then having some draping down. I hope I'm explaining that okay. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. I don't think you need to see me cut it out, and if I don't have enough this way, I'll just piece it together. It's just a tie, and it's going to be kind of shabby chic. And that's what I'm going to do next. And I'm going to do a little hem, like I said. So I might have to go a little bit wider than 2 inches. I'll decide when I don't know if I want to just double it up. I might do that. Just double it up and sew it together like that. Like this. And then like that to make the tie. I'll come back and show you anyway before I sew it together. I think I'm going to go 2.5 inches wide. Let's do that. I can always cut it shorter or thinner. Okay, yes, I decided to do 2.5 inches wide by 70 long, and I have to piece it together, but that's okay because it's going to be a tie. And I'm going to go ahead and take it to my, once I get it all cut out, I'm going to take it to my machine, just put a little tiny like hem on there, probably about 1/4 of an inch. And then once I get that done, I'm going to fold it over and sew them together. And that's how wide, this is how wide my tie will be. So let's go ahead and measure that. So I can find the, here it is. So that will be approximately 1 inch. 1 inch. That's how long, that's how wide my finished tie will be, and it'll be 70 inches long. I'll just sew pieces together. Okay, this is how I decided to do the tie. I got 2 strips at 35 inches long by 2.5 wide. And then I took it to my iron and I ironed it. And then I took it and just folded it over, probably about 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch. Maybe it's a half. Let's see what it is. It's about 1/4 of an inch on both sides, and I steamed it and pressed it real good. And then I'm gonna take it to my iron and fold this in half and press it, and then and it'll turn out like this. This is one piece that I already did. So there it is, nice and crisp and clean. And I'm gonna take it to my sewing machine, and I'm just gonna do 2 straight stitches. I'll go down one time and go back the other way, so it's extra strong. But here's my hems inside there. I was gonna stitch these 2 down, but I figure no, that's probably wasting some thread, so I can just go ahead and I folded it in half and pressed it real nice and crispy. So this is my tie. This is how it's gonna look, and that's how this one, that's how this one will look after I do this to it. So then I'll sew these 2 together, and that'll be my tie. Okay, this is how I'm going to do the tie. I decided I'm going to take my jabot, and I marked the halfway point right there. I'm going to fold this over. Well, actually, what I'm going to do is put the halfway point of my tie is right here. So I'm going to put that inside there, lay it flat, make sure it's not twisted. Fold this over and put the pin there. That's my halfway point. And I'm going to do a straight stitch around here to make my pocket and make sure this is nice and secure. And then I might just do a couple top stitches right here. We'll see how that looks. I will do a top stitch to complete the project. So there's that, and that's how that's going to go. Then I'm going to do another piece of this, and then I'm just going to connect this to this end. Go back and forth about 5 times to make it strong. And that's going to be the tie. And then I'll come back and show you how great it looks. It's really cute. I hope you can see all the different little layers that we did. Okay, so I added some more to my tie, and I'm going to sew these right sides together, and then they'll go together like that. And then at the end, I'm just going to go over it about 4 or 5 times and put a little hem in there. And then I'm done. And I'll come back and show you. I'm so happy that it's done. And I want to thank you for joining me on this channel. And what I want to share is you guys make me have courage to try different things. If I didn't have you guys, I wouldn't probably try different things. So I know I wouldn't try. So I thank you so much for joining me and giving me courage.